Tawe, it is not the practice of the Senate for you to do your acknowledgement copy only. Your asset declaration is between you and the Code of Conduct. So I'll be returning this to you. You can have it. And I hope you will go ahead. Sergeant will withdraw all his asset declaration, which means you don't have the acknowledgement copy, do you?
Yes.
It's not here.
The last page. The last page, Your Excellency.
Yes. This is all we need.
Okay.
We don't need your asset declaration form. We need only the acknowledgement.
Okay.
Senator Lalong. So always educate them on. Your loyalty is not a doubt. Noted by the chair. Now, Doctor, welcome to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Feel free to have interaction with your leaders, and but start by giving us a brief summary of yourself. And now that we even have an idea of where you are going to be posted to, you will definitely answer a few questions from distinguished senators on what you are bringing to the table based on your wealth of academic experience. So, you have a few minutes.
Okay. The President of the Senate and Senator Godswill Apabio, GCON, the Deputy Senator CFR, the other officers of the Senate, the distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let me recognize in specific my senators. Senator Simon Bakola Long, representing the Plateau South, my own senator from the Central Zone, Senator Diket Lang, who happens not just my senator alone, but was my head boy in secondary school, and then the senator representing the Northern Zone, Senator Simon Mwatkom. Thank you, distinguished senators, for giving for this opportunity for me to interact with you and give you a brief about myself. I'm a son of a clergy. I was born to late Reverend Toma Iliwada in a community, little village called Dungun in Kanke local government of Plateau State. Because of my father's profession, we travel across many states. We live in Bauchi State. I spent some time in Yobe and Borno State with my father. So I did my primary school across different states, but tidy up the school in Plateau State in primary 6, secondary school in Boys Secondary School, Gendry, my university in Makodi, first degree. The university retained me as a lecturer in the university after graduation because I was among the best students, so I was retained by the university as a lecturer. My master's at ATB Bauchi, my PhD at Suka, University of Nigeria in Suka. The university retained me as a lecturer in my 20s, but I had the opportunity of becoming a director in my early 30s in the university. And the minority leader, distinguished Senator Abba Maru, I worked under him when he was chairman of the university governing council, when I was appointed a director in the university. I was director of ICT of the university. I automated the university in several platforms. I worked with the NUC on several programs, and my CV would tell you how much I've worked with international partners, development partners, and it gave me the opportunity also of working across the country. Working with UNICEF gave me the opportunity of working with all the field office in the South, South, and Southeast. I've gone all the local governments within those communities. I interacted with several other international bodies. But let me summarize it this way. opportunity of working across different states gave me the responsibility of acknowledging the diversity of Nigeria and the need for inclusivity in the country. I work as in Yobe, where I spent most of my years. I was minority by tribe, minority by religion, but inclusive by the community I live in. My father, being a pastor, was having the best friend of his as the chief imam of the community. And he calls my father the man in Christa in Hausa. Simply means the leader of the Christian community. So that was the kind of community I live in and I grew in. So I've lived knowing that Nigeria needs diversity. It lives in diverse community. In Benue, where I also work as a lecturer, I was minority by tribe. But at the youngest age of 32, 33, which is the youngest ever in the history of the university, I was made a director. Which means that Benue, being a predominant community, gave me the room to exhibit all the quality of my talents and exhibit until Mr. President appointed me in 2017 as an INEC commissioner. As an INEC commissioner, I served in Benue State. An opportunity of conducting elections in several states, especially when there are difficult election opportunities. I was sent to remedy in many states. I was involved in election in states like Osun, like Ondo, like Edo in 2020, and several other elections that I was involved in. I resigned from INEC and went into active politics in 2021. And I contested for the governor of Plateau State in 2023 election. And here am I before the Senate and before Nigeria to serve a different platform. Thank you, Mr. President, sir.
Distinguished senators, I'd like to acknowledge with pride the presence of our colleagues from the House of Representatives. Welcome to the red chambers. Yes. We are the ones that normally visit you in green chambers, so now it's the reverse. You are welcome. Please sit down. We thank you for coming. Now, the nominee has touched on a very sensitive topic. Are you the one that conducted the 2020 election that brought Obaseki into office?
Yes, sir. I was part of the team, sir. I was part of the team. I was part of the team, sir.
Are you very proud that out of 24 members of the House of Assembly that you declared that Obaseki chose to work with only 10 members for 8 years? Are you very proud of that?
Your Excellency, that's not the role of INEC. The role of INEC ends on the day of the election. Once declarations are made, any other thing is the governor.
Well, it's not the role of INEC, but my belief strongly is that while a doctor's mistake is buried underground, the architect's own lies forever. So you're welcome to the Senate.
Thank you.
My colleagues will ask you questions. I have nothing, I have no observation. But just noting from what you said that you were the one who conducted 2020 elections in those states. So I welcome you. Ababoro, what is your own? Did he mention you? I thought you allow others to speak first. You know him? All right, go ahead.
Distinguished colleagues, it is my privilege and honor to take the first shot at our nominee from Plateau State. Mr. President, if you look at the resume and the pronouncement of the gentleman that is standing before you, I've known him and come across him in very many ways, both in academic and in politics. But I do know that in Benue State, where he served, the first set of persons that were elected in the new dispensation was local government chairman, and I was one of them. And I can attest to the credibility, the transparency with which he carried out that assignment. And so I can attest to the fact that in Benue State, where he served as the electoral commissioner, we held him in very high esteem because he was very, very independent. Again, Mr. President, when I was appointed the chairman of the governing council of the University of Agriculture, Makodi, and the pro-chancellor, I came across this young man again. And again, outstandingly, like he said, at a very small age, he became the director and developed one of the digital solutions that we had in the university at that time. And because of my nature, I had some issues with very conservative elements in the university. But he proved to be one of the very pragmatic and very progressive elements in that university. And so I'm actually not surprised that he has been appointed today to become a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you.
I urge my colleagues, based on his antecedents, to spare him the time so that he can go and settle down and hit the ground running. Thank you very much.
So, in other words,
along representing the good people of Plateau South. Mr. President, honestly, I felt very honored and indebted to this Senate, especially to Mr. President, and also the comment by my leader from the North Central, Abamoro. This is a candidate that was also recommended as a rec of Benue State. After that, voluntarily resigned and became the candidate. He would have been the governor of Plateau State by now. But today, before the Senate, I recall that Mr. President did a lot of effort when I left to the Senate and the vacuum. And you also helped in persuading Mr. President to get a nomination for Plateau State. And this nomination, again, is no other person than the candidate that is here with his resume that is displayed. My own is on behalf of the good people of Plateau State. I don't want to stop because Dickett will want to speak. And Dashum, where is Dashum? Dashum also wants to make a comment that the three of us have unanimously agreed that this is the best time, the best candidate for this best period to be minister to represent the good people of Plateau State. So we thank Mr. President and all the distinguished senators that will give him accelerated approval to immediately move in to help Mr. President in that very, I will say, good and also ministry. The one humanitarian requires a lot of intelligence, requires a lot of industry. So I thank you, Mr. President, for this great opportunity and then the solidarity.
No, let the people who know him from Plateau say something first, so that we can now proceed to ask him questions. Distinguished Senator Dike Plan.
Senator Lalong and the minority leader from Benue Plateau has spoken, but I rise because the candidate is from my constituency. I would add voice to what Senator Lalong has said in thanking Mr. President for the choice of Dr. Nentawe as minister representing the good people of Plateau State, and then desiring to send him to the committee, the Senate, the Ministry of Humanitarian Service and Poverty Alleviation. I see it as a round peg in a round hole. I know Nentawe, when we were young, went to the same secondary school with, and Nentawe does not change. He remains the original Nentawe we knew when we were small, despite all achievements he has made in life. He has been for the masses. In fact, in his work, we lean on him to get to the grassroots. And if today the president decides that he is sending to the Minister of Humanitarian Service, I feel it's a round peg in a round hole, because that is a ministry that needs someone who is compassionate. Nentawe is compassionate. It's a ministry too that engulfs the entire country, and it needs a man with vision. Nentawe is visionary. It is a ministry that needs data analysis. Nentawe is data, and data is Nentawe. It's a ministry that needs someone who is healthy and strong. This man is healthy and strong. I thank Mr. President, and I thank my colleagues, because I know that by the time he is confirmed, I am sure that as senators representing Nigeria, the 109 constituency, will be pleased with this appointment. I thank you all, and I know that after this, we will give him an accelerated confirmation, and I am sure we will see results. Thank you, Mr. President, and my colleagues.
Distinguished Senator
Pamwat Kondachungyang, representing the glorious people of Plateau North. Though the nominee mistakenly make a wrong pronunciation of my name, I will forgive him because he has come here with a very good anxiety. My name is not Simon Watkon, but my name is Pamwat Kondachungyang. Sir, this young man, as I know him, to possess a very rich credentials. From a younger age, as the CV portrays, he is a professor of digital systems and an engineer par excellence. If you go through deeply, sir, distinguished colleagues, and look at his CV, his personal data is rich. And in page 2, you look at his consultancy services that cuts across all sectors of life. In page 5, his working experiences showcases that he started from the university and worked as an INEC commissioner. In page 8, his educational qualifications shows that he is a trained and a membership of various disciplines. And in page 9, he has 24 publications in Kitty. In page 12, his referees shows that he's a man of the people. Mr. President, we are very grateful to the President of the Federation. You have given Plateau State somebody that will work for the nation. And I'm happy because all of us here, having he spoken, we know that somebody has said something, and the position or the portfolio that has been assigned to, it's a place that requires serious people with serious minds, and he's qualified for this. And I'm asking the colleagues, my colleagues here, to give him an accelerated confirmation so that he can keep the ball rolling while he's been formally confirmed. Thank you very much.
For the nominee? That's where it should be. Let's start from the majority party. Let's start from the right-hand side. Let's start from let's start. I'll give an opportunity to all my bosses. Let's start from my first boss. It's Senator Sadiq.
Thank you. Well, your CV spoke clearly, and you also represent yourself. And we heard from your head boy, you've been very consistent since you are young. And luckily, I think I've met you too, and I think you are a gentleman, smart, and humble. However, you are going to the humanitarian ministry. As of today, the data is that 40% of Nigerians are living below poverty. And it's also worse than that. When you look at multidimensional poverty index, about 63% are also below that index. Thank God you are an engineer, ICT savvy, but you are aware that for years, subsequent governments have spent billions of naira to alleviate poverty. Billions and billions. The challenge has always been, how will this money get to those intended without getting it lost? Will you tell us how you are going to use your experience to make sure that federal government money that will be under your care in the ministry will get to the people that need it? Thank you.
So,
South. Mr. President, I rise to add my own voice on the nominee, Professor Nentawe. I congratulate you as a nominee of Mr. President.
Thank you, sir.
Mine is not a question per se. I want to make my own contribution, Mr. President, because the nominee, he is coming from Plateau State, Panchim local government to be specific, and we are sharing borders. We are neighbors. My own constituent, Bauchi South, and we have a lot in common. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I know the nominee for over 25 years. He was born in Plateau State, but I can tell you he was brought up in Bauchi State. I know him as a detribalized Nigerian, down to earth, and a very respected personality. I believe, Mr. President, have gotten the right choice for this position. I am standing to support the confirmation of the nominee. I therefore aligned my own position with the position of the distinguished 3 senators from Plateau State, Senator Lalong, Diket Plank, and my brother, Senator Markov, for calling on my distinguished colleagues to fasten the confirmation of this gentleman. I therefore call on my colleagues to support the nominee of Mr. Nentawe. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, we don't need to speak. Distinguished Senator Ndume, you may wish to ask your question.
The second one also was a lady. And as far as it is now, your ministry is the most important, because 70% or 60% of Nigerians are living below poverty level. And the federal government deliberately have been making effort allocating huge sums of money to address the humanitarian crisis. And you are also coming at a time when the whole world, organizations that are in charge of humanitarian issues, are concerned about the escalating humanitarian crisis in the country. And this is not because the government is not doing anything, but because it is not getting down to those that are affected. You know the circumstance that led to the relief of your predecessor. My question now is, as the first man to be appointed to that ministry, what will you do as a case of emergency to make sure that the humanitarian crisis we are seeing, we are facing, we are likely to face more, should be done? Unfortunately, you are ICT persons. Today's world, if we are serious, or let me say you are serious, we can start seeing the impact when you settle down. So how do you intend to do that? That will give us a lot of comfort if we get good answer from you. Thank you, Mr. President.
To answer before we go to this side.
Sadiq Suleiman from Kwara. He asks, how will this money being voted by the Senate, the National Assembly generally, we get to the vulnerable group across the country? Let me start this way. After my appointment, I received calls from several people, and everybody that called me keep on showing the concern that with this level of poverty, and also with a new framework in the economic policies of the country, the reforms that we're having, they keep on asking me, can you resolve the issue of poverty across the country? And I said, the issue of poverty reduction is a wholesome challenge that involves almost everybody, from National Assembly to several agencies, government, the agencies, private sector, development partners, and other people that will be involved. But this is what I will do that maybe we can add a little bit of impetus to the fight. I know that already there are steps that have been taken by government, and there are also steps that are taken by the ministry in streamlining and ensuring they have a register of poor people. That's the data. And once you want to address any issue in the 21st century, the first thing you do is you get data, because data is a king in resolving challenges in the 21st century. And this is what we may do as a country or as a ministry if given the opportunity. First is to work with agencies that we need the data from them. And the first thing we need to do is, if given the opportunity, because while in INEC, we work with the National Population Commission in getting the geospatial data of Nigeria. And if you look at the NPC delimitation, it delineates Nigeria into the six geographical zones, the 36 states plus Abuja, making 37. The 774 local government, then the wards, and in the wards, it goes further and delineate the wards into what they call enumeration areas. And the enumeration areas become the smallest unit that they use in distribution, in dispersing facilities. And that was what INEC has been using in aggregating that data to form what they call polling units to ward to local government to state, and then to the country. And the same thing that we must do in poverty alleviation, because you must get the map of the country from National Population Commission, get enumeration areas across all wards, and then you get the geospatial data of poor people distributed across the country. Now, and that will also involve going back to the data of the country. And if you look at the data that we have, we say 65% of poor people live in the north, and then 35% live in the south. That's 86 million people in the north are poor, while 47 people in the south are poor. But we must go further than that. Distribute these people by state. Distribute these people by local government. Distribute these people by enumeration areas. And once you know by ward, then enumeration areas. And by enumeration areas, then you will know how many people are in that community, how people are poor. And then when they're sharing materials, you cannot distribute the materials not going to a state. You can't say you are sending 10,000 bags of rice to Plateau. No. You are sending 10,000 bags of rice to Plateau. So number will go to the central zone. So number will go to a local government. So number will go to a ward. So number will go to an enumeration area based on the level of poverty. Now, because most time when you look at the statistic, because there's no geospatial distribution of the poor people, you can't even determine how many people are actually captured in your own senatorial zone, or in your own ward, or in your own community. But by just doing this alone, we cannot distribute materials to the last mile in the country. And that will help in getting data. We can just get a dashboard. The dashboard will be visible to the Senate, to the House of Rep, to the people providing the funding, that's the international partners, to the whole country. And the visibility will bring transparency, will bring also the distribution of material across the people down to the last mile. I think that would be the easiest way that we can, can ensure that everybody in the country that needs to get a relief material will get it. And that will also help the senators, the House of Rep, for the oversight function, will make it very easy for them, because it's a dashboard for them to check, and they can make confirmation in the communities, in the rural community, and that will help us as a country to fast track the process of ensuring that we get materials to the people as fast as possible. That's the first, by ensuring that we deepen technology in deepen technology in distribution of relief materials to the poorest of the poor.
Senator Nengi.
My name is Senator Abdul Lingi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State. Mr. Chairman, let me join you in welcoming my younger brother, Prof, and members of the House and his delegation to the Senate Chamber of the National Assembly. Without any doubt, he has said it himself. His father is a well-known name across Bauchi State and Plateau State. The issue, one of the global trending issues at this moment is the issue of artificial intelligence. And looking at your background, Prof, what's your take about artificial intelligence? And how does paying attention to the issue of artificial intelligence benefit Nigeria? That is my question.
To be a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And even from all the comments, and if he's here to lecture us, we may not finish today. Is it the view of the Senate that he be allowed to take a power go? Those who support say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prof, you will take a power.
No clapping in the Senate, please. No clap, but no clap. No clapping.
Right, Honorable. See you.